It's week 7 of our REI 101 series, and I have my friend Ike Devji from Arizona Wealth Law coming in to talk to us today about our LLC structures and asset protection. As a real estate investor, it's important to know, and as we move along the line, right, of real estate investing, how to structure our properties, but more importantly, who to have on our side as we move up the line. So Ike, thank you so much and talking to our group and us about what you do on a daily basis.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing some time with me. It's good to be with you.
Thanks so much. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you do, and maybe we can just jump right into it however you want to play it, because you've seen a lot of this stuff, and I know that you have a wealth of knowledge, and I just really want to show you off today. So
That's kind of you. Well, sure. As you said, I am an attorney, and the focus of my practice is asset protection planning, which is basically helping to protect wealth and assets in different forms for successful people. We work with people all over the country who do all kinds of different things. We have thousands of physicians as part of our client base, as our entry-level clients, and we have a lot of business owners, executives, and real estate investors at all different scales. And an interesting thing, since you're in the real estate business, and this is a real estate focused discussion, is that every successful person becomes a real estate investor at some point, whether they think of themselves that way or not, right? They buy their office building, they buy a rental property, they do other things. They convert the proceeds of the sale to their business into real estate in many cases. So this affects a whole bunch of the people that we work with.
Right, and you're currently helping some of our clients, possibly get into this as well, but it's important to stay knowledgeable in what this means as we move forward in our success, right?
Absolutely. We don't want to see people have to earn the same wealth twice.
Yes, for sure. And it's all about, you can make it. It's really easy to make it at some point, or if you do make it, it's about keeping it, correct?
Exactly.
And protecting it.
Exactly. And that's what asset protection attorneys do, is they separate assets from the owner's liabilities, both their personal liability and their professional liability. And we do that lots of ways, including, for instance, LLCs that you mentioned.
Okay, well, let's talk about, maybe somebody who, we bring this example in a lot because you do work with some of those higher earners, higher income earners, such as maybe pro players or pro athletes, or, as you mentioned, people in the medical industry. Can you talk a little bit more about maybe some of the timing of when somebody should think about putting their home or autos into an LLC to separate themselves, their personal from their assets?
Sure. That's a great question. And, it's funny that many of the people who come to us already have significant assets, and they're holding them in a way that's exposed. So one of the most basic rules is we use business tools for business assets, and we use personal tools for personal assets. So we would not take the home that you personally live in and put it in an LLC, because there's no business purpose for that, and it wouldn't provide any protection. But for instance, if you're buying a rental home, we would absolutely want you to have that property in an LLC. And there are 3 really basic important reasons for that.
Okay.
Number one, I don't want the people I protect exposed to the internal liability of the property. As a realtor, you know that the duty of care to a tenant is very high. So the owner is responsible not only for the health, safety, and welfare of the tenant, but their guests, their business invitees, which is the legal term of art, which means the Amazon guy, the DoorDash guy, the lawn man, anyone they have to come to the property, and even trespassers. So imagine that you have a couple of rental properties that you are not at. You can't watch them 24 hours a day. You can't police what's going on there, but you're still legally responsible and financially responsible. So we use the LLC to separate you from the internal liability of the property. Then I have to worry about protecting the property from the owner. So let's say it is a physician who's also becoming a real estate investor. Well, if that physician, if she gets don't want her holding that property in her own name where it would be accessible to third parties, right?
Right.
We want that wrapped in an LLC, and we want that separate business wall built around that, if you will. And then finally, we want to protect the income streams. The reason that you are helping successful people find residential and commercial investment properties is because they want that income stream.
Right.
If they hold the property in their own name, then the income is paid directly to them rather than to the LLC, and that income can be taken by the bad guys, whoever that is.
Wow. Just a wealth of knowledge already. Well, thank you so much, Ike, for putting that in and clarifying a lot of that for us. Can you discuss a little bit more in regards to the asset protection part? And as a real estate investor, I know that there are certain things that we must understand in regards to if we start earning or if we are in a different tax bracket, right? And how that looks like in regards to putting it in a trust, in regards to putting it into some other structure that protects us in the long run. Can you talk a little bit more or a little bit more in detail about that?
Sure, and it's a good question because it brings us back to the idea that this has to be individually tailored to the facts of the person that we're talking about.
Right.
But there are some pretty standard rules that we follow. But for instance, when we talk about using trusts, when do we use trusts? Well, it's my opinion that anybody, especially anybody who's watching this, who is at a point in their life where they have enough money to be a real estate investor, even if it's your first little rental house,
Yeah.
you have some assets that you want passed to somebody probably. And it is my opinion that everyone should have an estate plan. And that estate plan in its most complete form is what we refer to as a revocable living trust. People call it a family trust, but what we're really talking about is the estate plan. That is the death planning. That tells us what happens at the end of your life. So having assets in a trust is important for a few different really basic reasons. Lots of reasons, but we'll cover the big basics today.
Okay.
Number one is we want to avoid the probate process. So the probate process means that a judge somewhere who you don't know will decide who gets your money, when they get it, how much of it they get, so on and so forth, based on a flow chart, if you will, right, as to who inherits when. And that also becomes public record, right? And it requires time and money to be spent, where you have to go through the probate process. There can be disputes that arise if there is no will, right? Everybody can say, no, she said she was leaving it to me. No, she said she was leaving it to me, right? So we want to avoid estate disputes.
Right.
And from your perspective as the real estate business expert, you want your clients to get that property at the right basis amount, right? So we don't want your clients inheriting a property for what their parents paid for it. We want them inheriting it at its current value, so when they sell it, they don't have this massive capital gains exposure over, for instance, the difference in the price of a house that you buy today and that same house 25 years ago, right? Which is going to be remarkably different.
Right.
In Phoenix and Paradise Valley and Scottsdale, where we are, that's millions of dollars in
Millions.
difference in many
Right.
cases, right?
Right.
So we want to avoid probate. We want to have a very clear path to having understood legally and laid out who gets our money or who gets whatever we're leaving behind and when they get it. We want to have that done privately through a trust rather than publicly through the probate process, and we want that step up in basis. So those are the three big reasons to use a trust. And it's, if you have a family, if you're married, if you have children, if you have any significant assets, if you have other family members that you want to be sure get this with a minimum amount of expense and delay, then you should have an estate plan.
Okay. All right. Wow. Yes, absolutely. 100%. Now, does that still make you vulnerable?
Yes, it's important to understand that estate planning is not the same as asset protection planning, right?
Okay,
They are
yeah.
related. They are two parallel sciences and they have to work together.
Right.
So if I have a client that walks into my office and they come here for asset protection planning because they're successful and they want to make sure they get to keep what they have, one of the questions that we're going to ask them is, do you have an estate plan? And if they don't have an estate plan, we will make sure that's part of the process and one of the things they get. If they do have an estate plan, all of the asset protection tools that we build and all the assets that go in them will point at that estate plan, and it will say, hey, at the end of Dr. Jones' life, these are the people who are going to receive this partnership and this trust and these 5 LLCs that own these pieces of real estate, et cetera, and this is who's going to be in charge of that. So that is very important, and that's what a trust can do. But what a revocable trust or a living trust or a family trust, whatever name people are used to hearing, cannot do is protect your assets from your liabilities during your life. And the biggest mistake we see is here in Arizona especially, is that people don't protect their multi-million-dollar homes by putting them in the right structure because they think, well, it's in a trust. And when I have this conversation with people, I say, are you talking about your family trust, your revocable trust?
Yeah.
And they nod very proudly and they say, yes, so I'm good. And I'll say, no, unfortunately, that tells me where your house goes when you're dead. But you live in a $4.5 million home off of, Invergordon, and Arizona state law only protects about $450,000 of the equity in that home right now. Every dollar above that is fully accessible to any and every creditor you have.
Oh my goodness.
Unless you take that home and put it into the right structure that will actually protect it. And that's typically going to be an irrevocable trust. So we use different combinations of tools to do this right. So a client might have a revocable trust for their estate plan. They might have an irrevocable trust or an asset protection trust for a home or other specific assets. They'll have holding companies for liquid assets, and they'll have LLCs to compartmentalize and segregate the risk of specific pieces of real estate. So this has to be a coordinated plan, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes people will walk in here and they'll say, well, I've got this trust and this LLC and all of these things, and none of them are connected. And so they've done maybe some basics, they've done some DIY planning, they watched some guy on the internet selling an LLC kit that what they were promised was magic and divorce proof and tax free and top secret, and none of those things are true, unfortunately. So we do want people to understand that the tool has to be the right tool for the right job, and just because it's a good tool for one thing, like a revocable living trust is a fabulous estate plan,
Right.
it is a very poor asset protection plan, right? A saw is not a hammer, they do different jobs,
Right.
and we have to treat legal tools the same way.
Wow. Yes. Wow. Thank you. Just information right there, you guys. Now, tell me a little bit more. I mean, I don't know about you guys at home, but if you're not taking notes, you guys are missing out on something. You're going to have to watch this video over again or call Ike first and foremost. But I do have a question. Maybe, I don't know, it's backing off a little bit from such a high echelon. In regards to an LLC, say I am a pro athlete with a good sense of humor, and I want to start buying, investment properties, and I want to create an LLC. Is that a fun process? Can it just be anything, any kind of name of an LLC, or is that something that...
Yeah, it actually can. Okay. Anything that you can get away with them accepting is okay. And we see things from the address of the property. So
Right.
we have lots of, 435 Mulberry Street LLCs.
Okay.
And then we have, My Dog Spot, or
Okay.
Margaritaville LLC, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
whatever you want.
Okay.
I will say that we encourage people when they are naming LLCs to do a couple of different things. Number one, don't use the same name over and over,
Okay.
and just have one differentiator, like Jessica's Properties number 1 LLC, Jessica's Properties number 2 LLC, Jessica's
Okay.
Properties number 3 LLC.
Oh, okay. So we won't...
The reason we don't want, there are a couple of reasons we don't want you to do that. Number one, we don't want one LLC being mistaken for another and an internal mistake being made. So when you call your lawyer or your banker and discuss that, there are mistakes that can be made very easily, even in the law office, right? The other thing is we don't want one LLC to be automatically connected to the others and show that joint ownership, right? So if it's the same name over and over, that's a pretty good chance that it's probably the same people involved.
Right.
The other thing is that we don't want clients to use their own name, right? Part of asset protection planning, and this is an important concept because there's so much bad information, especially on the internet and on social media, from people who are non-attorneys or who are not professional realtors who are out there giving advice about asset protection and LLC structuring and real estate taxes. And that information can be dangerous because there's a little bit of truth to it, and then it goes off on a wild tangent. So what we don't want people thinking is, hey, my LLC is tax-free, or it's top secret and nobody will ever find it, or I set it up in this state, so if I get divorced, the property that I put in it that was acquired during my marriage, my spouse can't touch it, or it's top secret and no one will ever know I had it. So those kinds of things are all false. There is such a thing as privacy, but privacy is basically a smokescreen. And I think there's a tactical advantage to looking smaller than you are and not having everybody be able to put your name in Google and say, oh, hey, this person owns these 14 companies and this many
They
pieces
just
of
make
real
it
estate.
a lot harder.
Right? If they want to find that out, they will. Let's make them spend time and money to do it. And let's not present ourselves as a big target. And I warn people that any asset protection plan that's based on secrecy, which is hiding something, hoping nobody finds it, and hoping nobody ever asks you about it, is not a plan. Hope is not a plan, right? We need to have real legal tools that have real black letter law that says what creditors can and cannot do and what the separation really is. Privacy is a bonus. It's a smokescreen, but it is not the basis of a plan. And unfortunately, a lot of things like land trusts that are being sold out there are sold on the basis of secrecy. So I tell my clients, any attorney that uses the word secret is stupid or lying. It does not exist. So think about
especially
that.
if they hire you, Ike.
Well,
You can't hide.
well, I mean, just keep that in mind when
Right.
you are looking at marketing materials from different outfits out there,
Right.
that anything that's based on the hope that no one will find it is not a good plan. Yes, I hope nobody finds what my clients have, but if they are asked about it, if they're deposed, if they're given written interrogatories, if it's discovered through the other side's own investigations, that plan still has to hold up, right? And of course, anything that relies on secrecy in many cases relies on your willingness to lie about it. And that's called perjury in a legal setting, and we don't want to do that.
Right.
So we have to have real tools that do real things, and if we do those things at the right time, the result is really predictable. And this brings us to another interesting topic that you and I had an off-camera conversation about, which is the importance of timing. You can only do asset protection planning before there is a crisis.
You have to be proactive at
Right,
it.
exactly. It's exactly like, I tell
be.
people to think about it like net worth insurance, right?
Right.
You can't insure your home after it's burnt down.
Right.
You can't get life insurance after you're dead. You can't insure yourself against an accident after it's happened.
Right.
And you cannot protect everything you've ever worked for after there is some exposure, whether it's personal, professional. And we see everything. We see professional liability claims like medical malpractice. We see car accidents. We see dog bites. We see real estate disputes. We see investor disputes. We see people sued after they sell a property for some latent condition, right, that the buyer feels they should have been disclosed. All of these things can be a big exposure, but you cannot legally act against that once you are aware. So it's not even that you have to be formally sued to be timed out of making these moves. The day you have notice that you have a liability is the day you are frozen. And any transfer you make into the kind of planning and the tools that we can give you before there's a problem, if you do it after a problem, it's called fraud. And it can be reversed. So we have legal terms of art like fraudulent conveyance, meaning, hey, I have the feeling I'm going to get sued. So I took everything I own and I put it in a trust, or I gave it to my sister, or I put it in my child's name, or whatever the things that people do late. Those don't work. And if you do those things, they are considered to be by the courts what's called, this again, a legal term of art, a voidable transaction. So the court will look at it and say, yes, we see that you signed your home over to this trust, but you did it after you knew you were being sued, and we're going to go ahead and reverse that transfer. So acting late is not only ineffective, it will make the judge mad at you.
Yeah. Wow. You heard that right? Come on, guys. Ike, you're just a pleasure, always a pleasure. And can I just say a wealth of knowledge as well, because
thank you.
it's just experience, I'm sure, and things that you have been exposed to and have seen throughout the years. And yeah, I just am excited. I'm grateful knowing that I have resources and people like you on our team to be able to guide our clients into that next move, to be able to help them, protect themselves and really bring light to things that they didn't know they were exposed to, right?
Well,
and I think
thank you. That's kind of you. And, I think successful people who are doing what you're talking about, what we're talking about, they need a team.
Yeah.
So they need folks like you that can help them find the right properties, run the numbers, help educate them on the financing options. You've done that for me. You've done that for some of my the other people that we're talking to together. So that's very important. It's good that they have legal counsel to help them organize, hold, and keep these things. And the last piece of the puzzle they typically need is a really good CPA to help them maximize all of the real estate deductions and advantages that we see generate huge amounts of wealth. And I will tell you that my clients are some of the wealthiest people in the country, or people who aspire to be, right? So some of my clients are just starting out. Some of them are worth over $100 million. All of them have a few things in common. And first and foremost, it's a desire, like I said, to not have to earn the same money twice. And they want to ratchet in whatever level of success they get to, like a barber chair. Let's just keep going up. Let's do the things that we need to do. And unfortunately, doing these things is the cost of doing business and doing it the right way.
Wow.
And it's always cheaper than trying to re-earn the money to buy the next building.
Right. Or get yourself out of something that you could have prevented in the first place.
Exactly.
Oh, well, you guys, I hope you guys have written down a lot of the information and are considering more of Ike, because hopefully he'll be in a little bit more with us to talk to you guys. Ike, before we leave, can you please, we'll have all of your information down below, but can you just let us know how people can get a hold of you? Because you're all over the place.
Sure, thank you. The easiest ways to find me are probably through my websites. One is azwealthlaw.com, and the other one is proassetprotection.com.
Okay.
And one is more Arizona specific, and the other one is a broader look at asset protection, business law, and risk management generally.
You definitely want to go to his websites, because you have a lot of newsletters and videos on your websites that...
A lot of what's on the website that I share is the perfect 2020 hindsight of all of the things that we have seen go wrong for the last 20 years that I've been practicing in this area. And what should have or can be done better to make sure you don't end up in that position, right? So let's just look at what have thousands of other successful people been through, what risks have they had, and what could have been done better. And everything on the website's available. There's no click funnel. You don't have to put any information in. The articles are there for you to read. And we put that stuff up there specifically to help people.
I love it. Well, thank you, Ike, so much for your time. I do appreciate it. Hopefully we can have a little bit more of you on our sites, but I appreciate your time.
I would love to. Anytime you need me back to talk about any issue, I'm happy to.
All right, you guys. We'll see you guys next week as we discuss more of REI 101 series of our Week 12 series. All right, you guys. Have a great week. We'll see you later. Thank you so much, Ike.